Hi, I'm Dr. Elliot Adam from ElliotOracle.com, and it is time for this month's Tarotscope for May 2024. I'm going to do a little reading for every astrological sign, beginning with Aries and ending with Pisces. And there's these convenient little timestamps at the bottom of your screen, of which you can quickly go to the relevant sign and information for you. And if you want an even more accurate reading, I suggest you listen to the message for your astrological moon sign and rising sign as well. So without further ado, let's go into the Tarotscopes for May 2024. First, we're going to begin with the astrological sign of Aries. So if you're an Aries or have a lot of Aries in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus for May 2024. And the card we get is the star reversed. Now, upright, the star can indicate immortality and wisdom and hope and all these, ethereal things. But when it comes up reversed, it can indicate that there may be some sort of imbalance in your life at this time. Sometimes this card can indicate that you're too focused on the mundane. You've been too much in the daily grind of everything, Aries, and it may be time to reconnect to your spirit. It might be a time to transcend or look at something from some distance and to see the hope of your situation. But sometimes this card can also indicate that if you've been too much in the spiritual realms, if you've been too focused on your internal world, you may be neglecting some things in the external world, sometimes practical matters, bills that have to get paid, things that you need to really focus on. Either way, the star reversed is indicating that it is time to right the wrong. It's time to really pour that water, that energy into the thing in your life that seems like it's been neglected. And it's time to turn off the spigot to whatever feels excessive this last month. So I just feel for May, it's time to really right yourself with whatever needs balance. Next is going to be advice from your inner wisdom if you're an Aries. And we got the Page of Cups. And the Page of Cups for me is one of the most sensitive cards in the tarot. This could be a month where you're just a little bit more sensitive. You might feel things more acutely. If normally you register something on a scale of 1 to 10, emotionally speaking, at like a level 7, when the Page of Cups comes up, you could be feeling it at a 17. So this could be a time where you're just a little bit more touchy, a little bit more emotional. But also the Page of Cups is one of the most creative cards in the tarot. So if you're at all involved in the arts or you're involved in anything that's going to require some creativity, something that's going to require you to think outside of the box, this is a gift of a card. And also that little fish is whispering into the page's ear. The fish knows where all the sunken treasure is under the water. And the water is that symbol for the unconscious. So this could be a time for you, Aries, where you need to listen to your intuition, listen to that little voice that knows where the treasure is found within you. It might be a time to reclaim your balance by observing what feels out of whack emotionally for you this next month. But I just feel like although there's a lot of sensitivity for Aries this next month, there's also a lot of psychic ability. There's an ability to really tune in to what's happening with others around you. And so listen to those impressions, listen to those feelings. Just with that star reverse, make sure that you're not getting out of balance by allowing yourself to get swept away by those waters. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Taurus. So if you're a Taurus or have a lot of Taurus in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus for May 2024. And for you, Taurus, the first thing I see is the Two of Swords. And on the Two of Swords, we see this figure who's in the in-between. The woman's in between the sky and the sea. She's in between the phases of the new moon and the full moon. And she's also balanced between those two swords. And this could be a time in your own life, Taurus, where you're feeling like you're in between. You're not quite in your future life yet. You're certainly not in your past. You're not what you were before. You're kind of in this weird amorphous middle place. It might also feel like you're wearing a blindfold, like the woman on the card, not able to see your way forward. And yet, this is going to be a time where this magical transformation's happening for you, because it's in the in-between times where the magic of life really happens. Just like at dawn or dusk, you look at what happens to nature. The light changes, the winds pick up, the animals rise to go drink at the pool. This could be a time for you, Taurus, where you're really giving yourself over to what that in-between is in your life and embracing it. And I just feel like even though you can't see where everything's leading this next month, just trust it, stay centered, Look at this woman's stoic, meditative pose on the card. Try to resemble that this next month, and you'll handle everything with grace and ease. The advice from your inner wisdom, if you're a Taurus for May 2024, is the King of Cups. And here we see the King of Cups who is on that stone platform on the throne amidst the crashing waves. Water represents emotions and feelings in the tarot, and the King of Cups is a governor of what he's feeling. He isn't ruled by his emotions, he rules the water suit. And so too for you, Taurus, this could be a time to really govern your own emotions by allowing that inner, mature adult to handle the situations that are in front of you. Also, the King of Cups is kind. So this next month, it's so important for you, Taurus, to focus on kindness, especially with other people who might be feeling turbulent. They might be kind of crashing against your throne, trying to get you swept out to sea. And instead, you need to stay anchored. In fact, that's the word I think of when I look at the King of Cups card, anchor. It's time to stay anchored, even if there are some heavy emotions that are operating around you. And I just feel like if you handle this next month with that emotional maturity, don't meet people on an immature level at their level, but instead stay above it, I think you're going to be okay. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Gemini. So if you're a Gemini or have a lot of Gemini in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus for this May. And we got the Four of Swords. And in a very un-Gemini way, the Four of Swords is all about calm. It's about centering, finding peace. It might even be a time where you're retreating, convalescing, healing something that needs to heal. The Four of Swords is the timeout card. And I just feel for May, it's so important for you to preserve your mental health this next month by retreating when you need to, and also finding those quiet spaces. I feel with that Four of Swords card as well, it's deeply healing. And it's reminding you that a calm mind is a powerful mind. So if you can find your center this next month, Gemini, you're going to find that everything falls into place for you. But I also feel for Gemini that this is such an important time for you to focus on what makes you breathe a little deeper, what's going to allow your shoulders to drop. It might be a time to take a deep breath right now and just let go of all those things you're really frustrated or stressed out about, and know that it's all working out in its appropriate time. The advice from your inner wisdom, if you're a Gemini this next month, is the Two of Pentacles. And here we see the juggler. Sometimes that juggler is juggling two different things, two different jobs, two different roles in their life. And so too for you, Gemini, it could feel like you have that duality, that typical Gemini duality where you're trying to balance this thing against that thing. And I have to be in both places at once. How am I going to do it all? And the answer is finding your center, remembering to find your calm. But it's also by being flexible. Because we see here with the juggler on the Two of Pentacles, he has almost an elastic quality to him, almost like he's made out of rubber. And this could be a time for you where you're needing to allow yourself to bend, allow yourself to really fluctuate with where events are going and go with them instead of fighting the current. Two of Pentacles also shows those wavy waters behind the juggler. This could indicate that life, yes, is going to send you some waves this next month, but you can handle them much like the boats. If you just kind of float over the waves as they come, don't try to fight the waves, don't try to fight the river or the current of where your life seems to be leading, but instead to just go along with it. But I just feel like this is a month for you, Gemini, to bend, to be flexible, and to abandon anything in your mind that feels fixed or rigid with expectations of how things should go. Because for your month of May, there is no should. It is instead a time where you really need to just go with where the wind is blowing. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Cancer. So if you're a Cancer or have a lot of Cancer in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus for May. And we get the Sun, which is the best card in the deck. The Sun indicates that a new day is dawning for you, Cancer. Maybe something that you've been struggling with up until now is taking a turn for the better. Maybe this is a month where you're starting to see new possibilities with things that were really stressing you out before. But the Sun is just reminding you that the light is going to return. Also, this is a card of opening yourself up to the wonders of life and looking on life with the eyes of the child, much like that little sun baby riding the horse there. There could be an adventure ahead for you. This might also be a time, much like the sunflowers, where you're turning your face toward the light. You're instead focusing on what's optimistic. You're focusing on what's actually working in your life, and you're opening yourself up to those wonderful new things. But I just feel like this is going to be a time where you're feeling hope again. And you might be feeling like, wow, I was so worried about this, and it was such a stress leading up to this moment. And actually, it's working out much better than I thought it was going to. The advice from your inner wisdom, if you're a Cancer for this next month, look at that, Four of Wands, another very yellow, sunny, bright, vibrant card. The Four of Wands is a card of socializing and connecting with the people that bring you joy. So I feel for you, Cancer, that this is going to be a wonderful month where it's time to reconnect. It's time to come out of isolation. It might be a time to start laughing with others again, opening your heart, conversing, communicating, but being around music and people that make you feel joyful or happy. I feel like grief has had its turn, and now it's time instead to focus on what brings you brightness in your life. So this month, really take advantage of those good moments and savor them, because this is a time that is really going to lead to joy for you. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Leo. So if you're a Leo or have a lot of Leo in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus for May 2024. And we get the Seven of Swords, which for me is a card of strategy. It's a card of really thinking ahead. The Seven of Swords can indicate that you need to be tactical this next month. You might need to be strategic with your time. It might also be a time where you need to be strategic with your energy. This figure on the card has his homeland invaded by a whole army, and he can't fight the whole army by himself. He'd be overwhelmed. And so all he can do is use his wits, use his intelligence to sneak into the camp and steal away the swords, and thereby weaken that invading army without ever having to fight them. And so too for you, Leo, this is the month to think smarter so you don't have to work harder. And I just feel like if you come up with a plan, if you're organized in your thinking, organized with your resources, your time, your energy, you're going to make a really great choice. It could also just indicate that intellectually, it's a time to not take your foot off the acceleration. This is a time for you to not let your mind get lazy or bored. It might be a time to stay sharp. And I just feel like June is going to be a better month for you to relax and let yourself go a little bit more. But for the month of May, it is time for you to stay sharp. Next is going to be advice from your inner wisdom this next month. And we get the Moon card. Now, the moon means so many things. Number one, it can indicate that unconsciously, there's a lot that's bubbling up to the surface for you, emotionally speaking. Sometimes this is also a card of psychic ability, intuition, might be a time to trust your hunches. But also the moon, it can indicate a time that you're walking through in your life where there isn't certainty. Like my friend Barbara Moore says, the moon card can indicate that you're kind of going through a landscape and it's only illuminated by the moon. And it might be difficult to see, in the distance. Is that a dog? Is that a wolf? I can't really tell. I'm only able to see a little bit with the light that's available to me. So too for you, Leo. This could be a month where you're kind of walking through and everything's a little bit murky. It's a little hazy. It's difficult to see how it all works out. And yet your intuition, your instincts are going to be your best guide. This is a time to trust your hunches. Also trust your logical, strategic mind, because I feel like there's some puzzles to solve, problems to solve, things to get around. But I also feel with that moon card that it is a time where your own instincts, your intuitions are going to guide you through beautifully. So listen to what your instincts are telling you for sure. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Virgo. So if you're a Virgo or have a lot of Virgo in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus for May. And the first card we get is the Empress card. And I don't know about you, but the Empress is just my favorite card. The Empress is the goddess of the tarot, seated in her comfortable garden. She can indicate abundance overflowing this next month. She can indicate that you're going to feel nurtured. And also seeds that you've planted long ago are starting to bear fruit. They're coming into fruition. The Empress wears the crown of 12 stars, which gives her great perspective. It helps her see things in context. And so too for you, Virgo, this is a time to maybe take a step back, maybe not get caught so much in the details, but instead to look at the broader, bigger picture. Also, for me, for whatever reason, the Empress can indicate that it's time to put your life events into the context of the 3-year period around you. Where are you in your 3-year cycle with whatever it is that you're trying to get to grow? But always the Empress indicates that there's reassurance, there's good news, there's a sense that something's coming into fruition in its appropriate time and not before. The advice from your inner wisdom, if you're a Virgo, is the Three of Cups. And here we see the famed 3 graces from Greek mythology. They're also called the charities in ancient Greece. And it's from the charities that we get our word charm, charisma, and character from. And you couple those 3 graces with the Empress, and there's just this beautiful goddess energy working around you, Virgo, this next month. You might shine a little bit more. You might attract attention. This could be a time to really step into your own self-confidence and allow your charisma to shine. But also the 3 cups, the 3 graces can indicate that you can naturally elevate the energy around you by really applying your own personal charisma. And look at that. The Empress is the trump card 3 in the tarot. And here we have the 3 of Cups. This could really point toward the 3rd week being especially joyous, but it's also 3 is a number of joy, expression of living, happiness. And so this could just be a month where you're really giving yourself over to those things. Either way, I feel like you're going to stand out in some way, Virgo. So don't be afraid to let your personality shine. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Libra. So if you're a Libra or have a lot of Libra in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus this next month of May 2024. The card we get here is the King of Swords. And the King of Swords is a rather rigid figure in the tarot. He's about upholding the status quo sometimes. He can indicate that you have to contend with something that's rather rigid this next month. The rigidity could be a deadline or an institution that you have to operate within the confines of its rules or its structure. But the King of Swords is also a severely logical card. And this could be a month where you're really focused on problem solving, finding a logical solution to the thing in front of you. Although it may feel this next month like you don't have a lot of wiggle room, that there's a lot that you're having to adhere to in your own life. It might be a schedule or something that you're really adhering to in your own life to make something manifest. If you stay focused on it, if you follow the rules with this thing, it really could be successful. Also, this card can indicate that you need to loosen up on your own rigidity, especially when it comes to your worldviews, your opinions. It might be a month where you have to question your assumptions or your biases. But the King of Swords is telling you that it's important to allow yourself to bend a little bit more and also to be mature, mentally speaking. The advice from your inner wisdom this next month, if you're a Libra of May, is the 9 of Wands. And the 9 of Wands is the resilient survivor of the tarot. You can see he's got a bandage on his head. He's been bumped and bruised by life, and yet he's still standing. And he's also gathered 9 wands behind him, and he's built a fence with them, which could symbolize a boundaries needed. This could be a time for you, Libra, where you're really needing to uphold your boundaries. Coupling that 9 of Wands with the King of Swords card, it could be a time when you really have to enforce a boundary. You may have to establish some rules. And it's all in the service of protecting yourself or whatever you've built. Also, the 9 of Wands can indicate that it's time for you to celebrate your successes. Look at how far you've come. Look at what you've survived. The blows on the 9 of Wands have already happened. And this could be a time when you're really looking at where you've come from, what you've endured, and that you're really respecting that in some way. Also, 9 of Wands can tell you that you're tougher than you think you are, and you can go the distance. So don't start to self-doubt this next week, or next month, I should say. Instead, really focus on what is it that you need to do and give it that final push to accomplish it. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Scorpio. So if you're a Scorpio or have a lot of Scorpio in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus this next month of May. And the first card we see here is the Page of Swords. And the Page of Swords is kind of on the defense. He's got his sword upraised as if he's expecting an attack. He can sometimes indicate for you, Scorpio, that you're on edge. You're feeling like, what's going to happen next? What do I need to do to protect myself? And yet this card can also indicate that that defensive energy could be counteractive to really having your dream come true. This could be a time where you need to relax a little bit more. It might be a time where you're allowing yourself to be a bit more vulnerable. It could also indicate that it's time to lower unnecessary defenses. Sometimes the Page of Swords also makes you conscious of a need to defend yourself or a need to really come up with an answer for everything that's coming your way, an explanation in some way. And instead, just know that your right to be needs to be respected at this time. You don't need to really say it. You don't need to prove your point with the Page of Swords. It could be a time to just relax a little bit more. Also, pages can indicate situations that are just in their infancy. And in the case of the sword suit, it might be something that needs some thinking, some planning, some sort of logical application to make sense for you. So I just feel like this is a time to focus on the details and to think, to look before you leap. Next is going to be advice from your inner wisdom if you're a Scorpio for May. And we get the Devil card. Before you freak out, everyone's got an angel on their shoulder and everyone's got a devil on their shoulder too. Everyone's got that voice of light and love and positivity, and everyone's got that other voice of fear, suffering, feeling like one is trapped or stuck in some way. And I just feel for you, Scorpio, that this could be a month where little triggers are happening. Maybe that inner shadow is getting activated by something that feels difficult or something that really feels like it's scary in some way. And yet, even the figures that are chained to the devil's throne are wearing chains that are loose. They could slip out of them whenever they want to. And so this is a card of being conscious of where you're at, conscious of what might be making you feel trapped, scared, small, or stuck. The devil is nothing if not a liar. And his biggest lie is that he's more powerful than you. Or that the narrative of your inner saboteur is somehow true. It isn't. So this is a time to look your shadow straight in the face and do the thing you're afraid to do anyway. Last thing I'll say about the Devil card is often in my own readings, he's the card that comes up right before someone's about to make a huge breakthrough. It's like they have everything in alignment. All things are set up for them to succeed, and they just have to take that final step, and then that voice gets in their ear, and it says, are you sure you're going to want to do that? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if this bad thing happens? And much with that Page of Swords card, this is a time for you to have courage, to step forward with what you know, and to face your fear, look at it squarely in the eye, and do the thing you're afraid to do anyway, because that's what's going to lead to your personal breakthrough and your growth. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Sagittarius. So if you're a Sagittarius or have a lot of Sag in your chart, this first card is where it's best for you to place your focus this next month of May 2024. And we got the Tower card reversed. Now, when the Tower card comes up reversed, it indicates that you've already been going through some sort of upheaval. You might have also seen old structures of your life get swept away. Maybe the way things were done for so long before are now in a state of upheaval, or that the old status quo has already been broken up. When the Tower card comes up reversed, this is the cleanup crew time. This is the period of your life where it's important to pick up the pieces that are scattered. It might be a time to collect the disparate parts of yourself and start to cobble them together again. The Tower reversed is saying that the big shakeup's already happened. It's also a card that says that you've already come to terms with what needs to change or what had to change in your life. And now it's the time of that quiet acceptance. But it is a card that says it's a time for you to be proactive, to put the pieces back together, and to come out of that time of upheaval by really focusing on what practical steps you can take right now to lead you toward some surer footing. The advice from your inner wisdom this next month, if you pick the Sagittarius, or if you're the Sagittarius, I should say, is the Knight of Pentacles. And of all the knights in the tarot, the Knight of Pentacles is on the horse that isn't moving forward at this time. It's a little frustrating, isn't it? The Knight of Pentacles wants those fields to grow behind him, but just now they're brown. This could be a time in your life, Sagittarius, where you're really being tested, where you can see kind of where you want to go, and yet everything isn't available yet. You can't see the evidence for where things are heading, how they're going to manifest. The Knight of Pentacles can also have to do with that astrological sign of Virgo, which has all to do with the details. And if you're feeling afraid or stuck or nervous because you're coming out of that upheaval time with the Tower reversed, and now you're kind of at this standstill, you're kind of like at a loss as to what's going to come next, you could start to research the details. It might be a time for you to reach out to the people who are in the know. If there's a question that you have, a nervous energy that you're having, an insecurity about where something could go, this could be a time for you to reach out to the people who have those resources, who know what's going on. But I just feel like after the month of May, there's a lot more clarity for you. So be patient. It might not be the easiest time for you emotionally speaking, where it feels like everything's figured out at this time. But even the Knight of Pentacles has to agree that although the fields look brown now, there are seeds germinating underneath the ground. And in spring and summer, they're going to come into full fruition. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Capricorn. So if you're a Capricorn or have a lot of Capricorn in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus for May 2024. The first card we get here is the Five of Pentacles, which traditionally has been called the poverty card in the tarot. And yes, it can sometimes indicate if you're really nervous about an investment right now and thinking about where you're putting your money and you have a bad feeling about it, this card could say, think twice. Maybe don't take a huge risk with that thing. But for me, the Five of Pentacles is so much more than just a dollar amount or an investment. The Pentacle suit for me really gets to the heart of our own sense of self-worth and worthiness. And the Five of Pentacles card can indicate that it's time to turn off the spigot to anything that makes you feel like you're unworthy, that you don't deserve a place at the best table. This is a time to get over the illusion that some people might have more or are better or have greater things than you, and instead recognize that you have a very special gift, something that only you can bring, and that it's time to really cherish that thing. It's time to come out of the snow, come out of that sense of being out in the cold and find your way to the warm hearth. But I just feel for Capricorn, this is a time to really know that your worth, your sense of self-worth might be tested this next month, and yet you need to just hang in there and really affirm to yourself that you deserve that seat at the table. The advice from your inner wisdom this next month is the Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune can indicate lucky breaks, changes in fortune, things that just shift. It's a rather unpredictable card. And it can indicate that you're going to be driven to misery if you're kind of attaching yourself to the edge of the wheel, which is a symbol for the external world, other people, things you don't have control over, and what they're reacting like, what they're doing. You're going to feel like you're going up and down on the wheel with every change of circumstance. And yet, if you can find your center this next month, you can really be in the eye of the storm, have all that crazy going on around you, and you're going to be completely fine. The Wheel of Fortune is telling you that your destiny is calling. Things that are fated, things that are meant to be, are all intersecting at this time. And it might also be a time for you to take the opportunity when it's presented to you. The stars might align, a doorway might open, but its ability to bring you success is only as good as your ability to walk through it. So I just feel for you, Capricorn, be on the lookout for the doorway opening. And don't even think twice about your worthiness of entering that door. It's time to step forward boldly. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Aquarius. So if you're an Aquarius or have a lot of Aquarius in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus for May. And the card we get here is the Nine of Cups. Often called the wish card, you see this figure who's seated before the table set with 9 golden cups all in a row. They look like trophies that he's achieved, and he's pretty satisfied with himself. And so too for you, Aquarius, this could be a time of rewards. Things that you've really been putting your intentions toward are actually manifesting. And it might be a time to really savor those things. 9 of Cups is telling you that life's a banquet, and it's time to enjoy what you've worked so hard for. Also, the 9 of Cups is a card of setting the table for your future successes. So this could be a time of getting organized in your thinking, or really getting strategic about what it is that you want to manifest most in your life. But I just feel for you, Aquarius, that this is a time where things are really coming into alignment. The advice from your inner wisdom, if you're an Aquarius, for May, is the King of Wands. And the King of Wands for me is the wise counselor of the tarot. He's also the survivor of the tarot. He's got that little lizard by his throne, which can take the heat. When the lizard gets too hot, it goes under a rock and cools off. When it gets too cold, it goes out in the sun and warms up. And so too for you, Aquarius, this next month, it might be a time to really moderate your own internal temperature to what's happening around you. King of Wands works his way up to be a royal. He's not necessarily born a king. He starts from the bottom and goes all the way to the top. And this could be a time for you, Aquarius, where you really focus on making your life as great as it can be by not giving up, not throwing in the towel. But I also just feel like there's a reward. There's a sense of success. And the King of Wands can also indicate wise counsel is coming your way. So if you don't know the answer to something in front of you, this card can really tell you to ask someone who is in the know. But either way, the King of Wands is telling you that the thing you're working toward is going to definitely manifest this next month. And it might be a time to enjoy that thing instead of waiting to enjoy it. And finally, let's go into the astrological sign of Pisces. So if you're a Pisces or have a lot of Pisces in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus for May. And the card we see here is the Four of Cups. And we see this guy under a tree. He's worried about his problems. He's thinking about the future. He's worried about the past. And he's completely shutting down. He's unable to see that right in front of his nose is a hand coming out of a cloud offering him a golden cup. And what this can indicate for you, Pisces, is to watch out for getting stuck in your head too much this next month. Watch out for being so focused on that inner realm that you're not able to notice what's right in front of your nose. The answer to your problem could be right there. Maybe the breakthrough that you're looking for could happen if you just participated with life instead of thinking about it or fretting about it so much. But I just feel like Four of Cups is telling you to open up. The figure under the tree is in a closed posture. His arms are crossed across his chest. His legs are crossed. He's kind of closed off. So this could be a time for you, Pisces, to open up, to trust, because that hand coming out of the cloud is an angelic symbol. And it really does say that spirit has your back this next month. The advice from your inner wisdom, if you're a Pisces, is the Page of Wands card. And the Page of Wands can indicate that this is a time where you're really growing into something. When I look at this card, I think of the word talent. And so this could be a time where you're developing a talent, developing yourself. Also, the Page of Wands, he holds that wand in front of him that's a lot taller than he is. Looks like a tree branch. And what that can indicate for you is that there is something that you're still growing into. And much like a measuring rod, the Page of Cups is looking up at the top of it. He hasn't quite gotten there yet, but he's optimistic. Much like the Fool card, he's got the red plume in his cap. His head is upturned. So for you, Pisces, this could be a time where you're a work in progress with something, but instead it's time to be optimistic about it. It might also be time for you to accept the gift that's being offered to you right now. Even if you're worried about not being 100% ready or not being 100% perfect or not having it all in alignment, instead it's time to say yes to life and open up and really trust in your talents. And that was this month's Tarotscope for May 2024. If you find my content useful, please do consider liking, sharing, subscribing, and also putting a little comment in the comment box with a little emoji, because it really helps the channel grow and it gets this community to grow as well. Also, if you like my empowering approach to tarot, you're absolutely going to love my books, Fearless Tarot and Tarot in Love. I have some signed copies available on my website, elliotoracle.com. And so if you're interested in that, head on over. I also have a lot of free materials on my website, elliotoracle.com. If you're stumped with a card meaning and you don't know what it is, just Google Elliot, Page of Cups, Elliot, the Tower, and you will get this free content that pops up right away with a blog post and a little video that puts that meaning of the card within 60 seconds. I do hope you're going to have a wonderful month of May, whatever it is that you're doing. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping my channel grow so much this last year. It really does mean so much to me. So thank you all. Be safe. Have a very happy summer in the Northern Hemisphere. And I do look forward to seeing you again for next month's Tarotscope for June. So do take care.